It's the first week of December 2024, so I want to look at the housing market data that came in for November of this year and take a comparison to previous years, get a look at where we are in the Albuquerque housing market, and share some of my thoughts and insights of what is going on as Venturi with the Venturi Group of Broker. This month, I've got it on our website, so you can actually look at this and interact with it and look at all the data. I've got a lot of different things on here, and I'll get into that here at the end. But let's look through the monthly data here first. And we're going to start off with the closed sales, number of homes sold, and we'll jump right here. And let me just give you the lay of the land here. You see 5 different colors. And what we have is the entire market, and this is the entire metro area, all single-family homes, detached and attached. And first off, we're looking at closed sales. And in this case, the far right bar, this 712, that's the number of homes that closed in November of this year. That's 2.3% more than a year ago. You can see that right there. Up a little bit from last year at 696. And then we break it down by price ranges. We've got the 250 and under, the 250 to 4, the 4 to 6, and the 6 and above. You can see in that 4 to 6 range actually had the biggest increase, 25% increase. Part of that is just homes are moving up into that price range, and that has a lot to do with it. The lower end, the 250 and under, which we just don't have a lot of those homes anymore. There were only 79 homes that closed in the month. I'll tell you, as a real estate professional and a lot of other professionals I talk to, it does feel slow in the market. However, 712 homes exchanged in the month of November. And it's normal that we do see a little bit of slowdown this time of year into the fall, into winter. Usually the slowest month for sales is February. That's unit sales. And then it'll start picking up after that. All right. Active homes for sale. So we looked at closed sales first. Now we're looking at the number of homes on the market. That's actually ticked up. That's good news for home buyers that may be out there looking, haven't found what they're looking for. 1,857 homes on the market. This is just a snapshot in time. This is looking at the last day of the month of November, and that is up about 18% from a year ago. A year ago, it was up 3%. So we're still at a historically low level. In fact, actually, I'm going to jump over to another, not that one, this one. The number of homes for sale, this is a long-term trend all the way back to 2006. But if we come right here, like I said, this measures a little bit differently. We're looking at both detached and attached, split out. But for detached, we had 1,707. And if we go back to November of 19, which is right there, basically 2,200. So we're still about 25% fewer homes on the market compared to then. Although it is quite a bit more than we've had, and you can see that right here in that those charts there. All right, jump back to this. Homes for sale up a little bit. Under contract actually ticked up. I will say it feels slow, air quote slow, whatever that means. However, there were 766 homes that did receive and go under contract in November. That's up 20% from a year ago. So we are seeing activity. There are people out there buying and selling homes, although it has been slower than those frantic years that we had there, the last 3 or 4 years. New listings, still pretty sluggish. This is something we've been watching very closely. This is the number of homes coming on the market. Again, people are just not moving as often. They're not putting their homes on the market as often. It's basically equal from last year. 805 homes came on the market in November of this year versus 797. So, virtually the same. And that the whole lock-in effect is still in effect, meaning people that have those low interest rates aren't super motivated to give up that 3.5%, 4% mortgage for a 6.5%, 7% mortgage. So that's still in play, and we'll see as we go through the year 25 if mortgage rates come down, if that's going to change that at all. All right, month supply. This is the classic supply versus demand measurement. Overall, we're at 2.3 months supply. In any normal time for forever, that would be considered a very, very strong seller's market. However, in this market, it is sluggish in the sense that things are just taking a little longer to sell. There's not, as much frantic activity going on. So it does feel more like a kind of balanced market, I guess. But let's break it down here by price range, because I think this is very telling. 600,000 and above, 3.7 month supply, almost 4 month supply. That is closer to a buyer's market. I'm not going to call it a buyer's market, but it's closer to. But as we go down in price range, it steps down. You can see there 3 month supply, 1.8 month supply in that 250 to 4, and then 1.3 months supply for those very few homes that are under $250,000. And a lot of those, to be honest, may have some condition issues too if they're priced under $250,000, just depending on where it is, of course. So I'm not going to call it a buyer's market or a seller's market. I would call it a moving toward a buyer's market, but I wouldn't call it a buyer's market just in the sense that there's still not a big surge in supply that's causing a mass supply versus demand. Gosh, that was awkward the way I said that, but I hope that made sense. All right. Days on market, this we've actually seen tick up quite a bit, about 40% more than a year ago. And like I've been saying here through this whole talk is homes are taking longer to sell. We're at 38 days on average for overall across all price ranges. You can see it's not a big difference between the different price ranges. So 38 days on average is what it's taking for homes from when they go on the market as active in the MLS to going under contract, going into pending status in the MLS. And if we look at that from a median days on market versus average, it's 22, meaning half the homes went under contract within 22 days, and the other half took more than 22 days before they sold or went under contract. And this is only looking at homes that have actually sold and closed in November, not total inventory. That's a totally different measurement of active homes on the market and how long they've been on the market. We're just talking about homes that actually got a contract and sold. So quite a bit more. This is actually closer to 2017, 2018 numbers versus even 2019. So it is taking longer for homes to sell. And if you're a home seller, you just want to make sure you account for that in your planning for getting your home on the market. All right. Foot traffic, I love this one. This is a really early indicator of how much buyer activity is out there. It's down slightly from last year, so it's 4.3 showings per active home on the market. It's down slightly from last year and down again from 2022. And it's not a surprise. There's just not as much activity. The thing I will say, though, it does seem like, because even though this is down, we saw earlier that pendings were up. So does that tell us that the buyers are out there more motivated? They're more serious? I think the answer is yes, and it does, anecdotally, it does seem that way as well from what we're seeing here in the market. All right, pricing. Everybody wants to know what's going on with pricing. Are home prices going up or home prices going down? A lot of different ways to slice and dice this and look at it, but I'm going to break it down here a few ways. So first and foremost, we've got price per square foot, and we're going to start with median. This is the median, the middle. If you look at the average price per square foot of let me rephrase that. If you look at all the homes that sold and you look at the price per square foot, the middle of all the homes that sold was $211 for price per square foot. Did I complicate that? Let me say that again. So median price per square foot, that's the middle price of per square foot of all the homes that sold in November, up 3%, 2.9 from a year ago. And you can see across price ranges it does vary, but overall 3%. If we look at the average price per square foot, again, a different way to look at these price appreciation metrics, about 4%. 215,000 was, 215, not 215,000. 215 was the average price per square foot for the homes that closed in November of 24. And then the overall, of course, we can't break this down by price range. We're looking at overall median price of all the homes that sold was $360,000. This is we've had a couple months where we've been at 365, so that's a little bit below this, but this is still at the higher range of all the months that we've measured for median price. And that is up 4.4% from last November, which was $344,690. All right, and then average price of all the homes that sold in the Albuquerque area was $413,354, about 7% higher. So when you look at these numbers and you look at these changes from a year ago and the year-over-year change, you have to kind of say, okay, well, what are we looking at? It's like, okay, these are averages. It doesn't mean that if the exact same home that sold a year ago sold this year, was it 7% more? Probably not. If nothing else changed, we're probably closer on average to a 3 or 4% year-over-year price appreciation, and I'm seeing that in other data as well. All right, what I wanted to share with you, we are on our website at welcomehomeabq.com. That's where I'm just right on our website. And if you can see under market here, we've got, let me do that again. Under the market tab, I've got the monthly update, and that's what we're looking at right now. We also have a weekly tracker that if you really want to get in the weeds and really get detailed on what's going on week to week with housing data, you can look at that here, and that is this one right here. So I've got a weekly tracker. In this case, we're looking at inventory compared to all the previous years, so you can dig into that if you really want to nerd out on housing market data. There's a lot of good insights on this particular page. And then I also have a long-term tracker. So this goes back to 2003 in many cases. This is the number of homes that came on the market, and you can see by month. And of course, in this one, you can see the seasonal trend very, very clearly. So I think we got through it. If you got any questions about real estate in the Albuquerque area, you need help with either buying or selling, or just got questions about the market, reach out to us. We're the Venturi Group of Real Broker, 505-448-8888. Take care.